What if I told you that one of the most powerful muscle rebuilding foods for people over 60 isn't a protein shake, it isn't a piece of steak, and it isn't some expensive supplement shipped from halfway around the world? It's cheese. That's right, a specific type of cheese, sitting right now in the dairy aisle of your local grocery store, contains a rare combination of proteins and nutrients that scientists say can actually slow down and even reverse the muscle loss that quietly steals your strength, your balance, and your independence after 60. And here's the shocking part. Most doctors never mention it. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn in the next few minutes could genuinely change the way you age. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we focus on practical, science-backed health information specifically designed for adults over 60. Because let's be honest, your body at 65 doesn't work the same way it did at 35, and the health advice you need is different too. Today, we're talking about something that affects nearly every single person over the age of 60, whether they realize it or not. It's called sarcopenia. Now, don't let that word intimidate you. Sarcopenia simply means age-related muscle loss. It comes from two Greek words, sarx, meaning flesh, and penia, meaning poverty. So literally, it means poverty of flesh. And that name is painfully accurate. Starting around age 30, your body begins losing muscle mass. But after 60, that process accelerates dramatically. Research published in the journal Age and Aging shows that adults can lose 3 to 8% of their muscle mass per decade after 30, and that rate nearly doubles after the age of 60. By the time you reach 70 or 75, you may have lost 25 to 30% of the muscle you had in your prime. And here's why that matters so much. Muscle isn't just about looking strong or lifting heavy things. Muscle is your metabolic engine. It protects your bones. It keeps your joints stable. It prevents falls. It regulates your blood sugar. It supports your immune system. When you lose muscle, you don't just get weaker. You become more vulnerable to fractures, diabetes, infections, hospitalization, and loss of independence. The Centers for Disease Control reports that 1 in 4 Americans over 65 falls each year, and falls are the leading cause of injury-related death in that age group. Sarcopenia is one of the biggest hidden reasons behind those falls. So the question becomes, how do you fight back? How do you rebuild what time is trying to take away? The answer starts on your plate. And today, I'm going to show you 3 specific cheeses, yes, real, delicious, everyday cheeses that are uniquely powerful tools in the fight against sarcopenia. I'll explain exactly why each one works, how much to eat, when to eat it, and how to combine it with simple habits that multiply the benefits. Let's get started with cheese number 1. And honestly, this one might surprise you the most. Cheese number 1 is cottage cheese. And before you wrinkle your nose or think of bland diet food from the 1980s, hear me out, because cottage cheese might just be the single most underrated muscle-building food available to seniors today. Here's why. 1 cup of low-fat cottage cheese contains approximately 28 grams of protein. To put that in perspective, that's roughly the same amount of protein as a 4-ounce chicken breast. But unlike chicken, cottage cheese requires 0 cooking, 0 preparation, and is incredibly easy to chew and digest, which matters enormously as we age. But the protein quantity isn't even the most impressive part. It's the type of protein that makes cottage cheese extraordinary. Cottage cheese is loaded with a slow-digesting protein called casein. Now let me explain why that matters for your muscles. When you eat protein, your body breaks it down into amino acids, which are the building blocks your muscles use to repair and grow. Most protein sources are digested relatively quickly. You get a burst of amino acids, and then it's over. Casein is different. Casein forms a gel-like substance in your stomach, which means it releases amino acids slowly and steadily over several hours. Some studies show that casein can provide a sustained release of amino acids for up to 7 hours. Why is this important for fighting sarcopenia? Because one of the biggest problems seniors face is something researchers call anabolic resistance. As you age, your muscles become less responsive to the signals that tell them to grow and repair. Your body needs a longer, more sustained exposure to amino acids to trigger muscle protein synthesis, And that is exactly what casein provides. A landmark study published in the journal Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise found that consuming casein protein before bed significantly increased overnight muscle protein synthesis in older adults. Think about that. You eat cottage cheese before going to sleep, and while you're resting, your muscles are quietly rebuilding themselves. But there's another hero hiding inside cottage cheese, and it's an amino acid called leucine. Leucine is often called the master switch for muscle growth because it directly activates a pathway in your cells called mTOR, which is essentially the on switch for muscle building. Cottage cheese is naturally rich in leucine, and research shows that older adults need higher amounts of leucine per meal to overcome that anabolic resistance I mentioned. Now, here's a practical tip. Many seniors don't eat enough protein at breakfast. They might have toast and coffee or a small bowl of cereal. That's a missed opportunity. Try having a cup of cottage cheese in the morning with some fresh berries and a sprinkle of ground flaxseed. You've just given your muscles 28 grams of high-quality protein, a powerful dose of leucine, antioxidants from the berries, and healthy omega-3 fats from the flax. That is a sarcopenia fighting breakfast, or, as I mentioned, eat it before bed. A simple bowl of cottage cheese about 30 to 60 minutes before sleep can turn your nighttime rest into a muscle repair session. Let me ask you something. How many of you have cottage cheese in your refrigerator right now? And if you do, when was the last time you actually ate it? Drop a comment below. I'm genuinely curious. One more thing about cottage cheese. It's also an excellent source of calcium and phosphorus, two minerals that are essential for bone health. Remember, sarcopenia and osteoporosis often go hand in hand. When you lose muscle, you also tend to lose bone. Cottage cheese fights both problems simultaneously. Now, when buying cottage cheese, look for a brand that is low in sodium. Some brands add a lot of salt, which isn't ideal for blood pressure. Also, choose either low-fat or full-fat based on your doctor's recommendations. Both have the same amount of protein. And if you're lactose intolerant, don't worry. Cottage cheese is naturally lower in lactose than many other dairy products, and there are lactose-free versions available. All right, that's cheese number 1. Let's move on to cheese number 2, and this one has been a secret weapon in one of the healthiest cultures in the world for almost 1,000 years. Cheese number 2 is Parmesan, specifically the authentic Italian variety known as Parmigiano-Reggiano. And this cheese is truly remarkable for aging adults. Let me start with the protein. Ounce for ounce, Parmesan is one of the most protein-dense cheeses on the planet. A single ounce, which is roughly a small handful of grated Parmesan, contains about 11 grams of protein. That's extraordinary for such a small serving. You can sprinkle it on soup, salad, pasta, eggs, or vegetables. And with just 2 ounces, you've added 22 grams of high-quality, complete protein to your meal without even thinking about it. But here's what makes Parmesan especially valuable for seniors, and this is something most people don't know. Parmesan cheese is aged for a minimum of 12 months, and authentic Parmigiano-Reggiano is often aged for 24 to 36 months. During that long aging process, something extraordinary happens. The proteins in the cheese are partially broken down by natural enzymes into smaller peptides and free amino acids. In scientific terms, the cheese is essentially pre-digested. Why does this matter? Because as you age, your digestive system becomes less efficient. Your stomach produces less hydrochloric acid. Your pancreas produces fewer digestive enzymes. This means that large, complex proteins from foods like steak or chicken become harder for your body to fully break down and absorb. You might eat a big piece of meat and only absorb a fraction of the protein it contains. With aged Parmesan, that work has already been done for you. The amino acids are sitting there ready to be absorbed. Your body can take them up quickly and efficiently, even if your digestive system isn't what it used to be. For seniors with reduced digestive capacity, this is a game changer. And remember our friend leucine, the amino acid that flips the muscle building switch? Parmesan is exceptionally high in free leucine due to that aging process. A study published in the Journal of Dairy Science confirmed that aged cheeses like Parmesan contain significantly higher levels of free amino acids, including leucine, compared to younger cheeses. Now, let me share something fascinating. In the Parma region of Italy, where this cheese has been made for over 900 years. Elderly residents have some of the highest life expectancies in the world. While many factors contribute to that, nutritional researchers have noted that Parmigiano-Reggiano is a dietary staple in that region, consumed daily by people of all ages, including the very elderly. Italian geriatricians actually recommend it for older patients recovering from illness or surgery because of its exceptional digestibility and nutrient density. Beyond protein, Parmesan is loaded with calcium. 1 ounce provides about 330 milligrams, which is roughly a third of the daily recommended intake. It also contains significant amounts of phosphorus, vitamin A, vitamin B12, and zinc, all of which play critical roles in muscle function, immune health, and bone density. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but isn't cheese high in sodium and saturated fat? Won't it raise my cholesterol? That's a fair question, and here's the honest answer. Parmesan does contain sodium and saturated fat, but you don't need to eat large quantities to get the benefits. 1 to 2 ounces per day is all you need. At that amount, the sodium and fat content is very manageable for most people. And interestingly, several recent large-scale studies, including research published in The Lancet, have found that moderate consumption of full-fat dairy, including cheese, is actually associated with a lower risk of heart disease and stroke, not a higher risk. The old advice to avoid all dairy fat is being seriously reconsidered by the scientific community. Of course, if you have specific dietary restrictions from your doctor, always follow their guidance. But for most healthy adults over 60, 1 to 2 ounces of Parmesan daily is both safe and beneficial. Here's a simple way to add it to your routine. Keep a small container of freshly grated Parmesan in your refrigerator. Sprinkle it generously on your morning eggs. Add it to soups and stews. Toss it on roasted vegetables. Shave thin slices and eat them as a snack with some walnuts and apple slices. Every time you add Parmesan to a meal, you're delivering a concentrated burst of pre-digested muscle-building protein straight to your body. And listen, if you're over 60 or you're caring for an elderly loved one, this information could genuinely be life-changing. Sarcopenia doesn't announce itself with pain or obvious symptoms. It creeps in silently, taking a little strength each month, a little balance each year, until one day a simple fall changes everything. But it doesn't have to be that way. Knowledge is power, and small dietary changes like the ones we're discussing today can make an enormous difference. So please, if you find this helpful, share this video with someone you love. It might be exactly what they need to hear. All right, let's get to cheese number 3. And this one is probably the most delicious surprise on the list. Cheese number 3 is ricotta cheese. And I have to tell you, when I first came across the research on ricotta and muscle health, I was genuinely impressed. Ricotta cheese is unique among cheeses because of how it's made. Most cheeses are made from curds, which are the solid parts of milk that form when it's curdled. Ricotta, on the other hand, is traditionally made from whey, the liquid that's left over after the curds are removed. The name ricotta actually means recooked in Italian, because the whey is heated a second time to produce this soft, creamy cheese. Now, here's why that matters for your muscles. Because ricotta is made from whey, it is naturally rich in whey protein. If you've ever seen those big tubs of whey protein powder at the supplement store, you know that whey is considered the gold standard for muscle building. But here's the thing. Many seniors don't want to drink protein shakes. They find them artificial tasting, hard on the stomach, or just unappetizing. Ricotta cheese gives you the benefits of whey protein in a natural, whole food form that's creamy, mild, and incredibly versatile. 1 cup of part-skim ricotta contains approximately 28 grams of protein, similar to cottage cheese. But the protein profile is different. While cottage cheese is casein dominant, ricotta contains a significant proportion of whey protein, which is faster digesting and produces a rapid spike in blood amino acid levels. This fast spike is particularly effective at stimulating muscle protein synthesis in the hours immediately after eating. Here's the ideal strategy, and this is what many sports nutritionists and geriatric specialists now recommend. Combine both types of protein throughout your day. Eat ricotta or foods rich in whey protein earlier in the day or after physical activity, when the fast amino acid spike can immediately fuel muscle repair. Then eat cottage cheese in the evening or before bed, when the slow-release casein can work overnight. You're essentially creating a 24-hour muscle-building cycle using nothing but natural, whole food cheese. A study published in Clinical Nutrition found that older adults who consumed adequate whey protein showed significantly greater improvements in muscle mass and physical performance compared to those who consumed the same amount of protein from other sources. The researchers specifically noted that the high leucine content and rapid digestibility of whey made it particularly effective for combating anabolic resistance in aging muscles. But ricotta brings even more to the table. It is an excellent source of selenium, a trace mineral that acts as a powerful antioxidant. This matters because sarcopenia isn't just about protein intake. It's also driven by chronic inflammation and oxidative stress, both of which accelerate muscle breakdown as we age. Selenium helps neutralize those destructive processes, protecting your existing muscle while you work to build new muscle. Ricotta is also rich in vitamin A, B vitamins including B12, and it contains a meaningful amount of calcium and phosphorus for bone support. Now let's talk about how to enjoy ricotta, because this is where it gets fun. Ricotta is one of the most versatile cheeses in existence. You can spread it on whole grain toast with a drizzle of honey and some sliced almonds for a protein-rich breakfast. You can blend it into smoothies for extra creaminess and protein. You can stir it into oatmeal. You can use it as a base for healthy dips. You can layer it in lasagna or stuff it into whole wheat pasta shells. You can even make a simple dessert by mixing ricotta with a little cocoa powder, a touch of honey, and some dark chocolate chips. It's delicious, and you're fighting sarcopenia while enjoying every bite. For seniors who struggle with appetite, which is very common as we age, ricotta is especially valuable because it's calorie-dense and protein-rich in a relatively small volume. You don't need to eat a huge portion to get meaningful nutrition. A half cup of ricotta gives you 14 grams of protein in just a few spoonfuls. When shopping for ricotta, look for brands that use simple ingredients: whey, milk, salt, and perhaps a small amount of an acid like vinegar or citric acid. Avoid brands with a long list of additives, stabilizers, or gums. If possible, choose part skim ricotta, as it has nearly the same protein content as whole milk ricotta with slightly less saturated fat. And again, lactose-free options exist for those who need them. So let's bring all of this together into a simple, practical plan that anyone over 60 can follow. You now know about 3 extraordinary cheeses: cottage cheese with its slow-release casein protein and muscle-building leucine, Parmesan with its pre-digested amino acids and incredible nutrient density, and ricotta with its fast-acting whey protein and antioxidant selenium. Here's a sample day that incorporates all 3. For breakfast, have a cup of ricotta cheese spread on whole grain toast, topped with fresh berries and a drizzle of honey. That's 28 grams of fast-acting whey protein to start your day and kickstart muscle protein synthesis. At lunch, have a large salad with grilled vegetables, some olive oil, and 2 ounces of freshly grated Parmesan cheese on top. There's another 22 grams of pre-digested, highly absorbable protein, plus calcium and B12. For an evening snack or light supper, have a cup of cottage cheese with some chopped walnuts and a sprinkle of cinnamon. Another 28 grams of slow-release casein protein that will feed your muscles throughout the night while you sleep. In that single day, from cheese alone, you've consumed roughly 78 grams of high-quality muscle-building protein. Add in whatever other foods you're eating, some chicken, fish, beans, eggs, and you're easily hitting the protein targets that researchers say are necessary to fight sarcopenia. Speaking of which, let me share what those targets are. The current general recommendation for protein intake is about 0.36 grams per pound of body weight. But multiple studies, including recommendations from the PRODI Age Study Group published in the Journal of the American Medical Directors Association, suggest that older adults need significantly more, between 0.54 and 0.72 grams per pound of body weight per day. For a 160-pound person, that's 86 to 115 grams of protein daily. Most seniors are falling dramatically short of those numbers. Surveys show that up to 40% of adults over 70 don't even meet the basic minimum protein recommendation, let alone the higher amounts needed to fight muscle loss. These 3 cheeses make closing that gap easy, delicious, and affordable. Now, I want to be clear about something important. Cheese alone won't defeat sarcopenia. You also need to move your body. Resistance exercise, even very gentle forms of it, is absolutely essential for muscle maintenance and growth. This doesn't mean you need to join a gym or lift heavy barbells. Simple bodyweight exercises like chair squats, wall push-ups, resistance band exercises, or even walking with light ankle weights can make a significant difference. The combination of adequate protein, especially from high-quality sources like these three cheeses, plus regular resistance exercise, is the most powerful one-two punch against sarcopenia that science has identified. Each one is helpful on its own, but together they are transformative. Also, don't forget about vitamin D. Vitamin D is critical for muscle function, and deficiency is extremely common in older adults. Ask your doctor to check your vitamin D levels. If they're low, a daily supplement of 1,000 to 2,000 IU of vitamin D3 can support both muscle and bone health. And stay hydrated. Dehydration reduces muscle performance and can accelerate muscle breakdown. Aim for 6 to 8 glasses of water throughout the day. Before I wrap up, let me quickly share some warning signs of sarcopenia that you or your loved ones should watch for. Difficulty rising from a chair without using your arms? Trouble climbing stairs? Feeling unsteady on your feet? Dropping things more frequently? Feeling exhausted after activities that used to be easy? Noticing that your clothes fit differently, particularly looser around the arms and legs? Walking more slowly than you used to? Many seniors dismiss these changes as just getting older, but they're not inevitable. They are signs that your muscles need help, and the sooner you take action, the more muscle you can preserve and rebuild. If you recognize any of these signs in yourself or someone you love, please take today's information seriously. Talk to your doctor. Increase your protein intake. Start some gentle resistance exercises. And yes, add these 3 remarkable cheeses to your shopping list. Let's do a quick recap of everything we covered today. Sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss, is one of the most serious and most overlooked health threats facing adults over 60. It steals your strength, your balance, your independence, and ultimately, your quality of life. But you have the power to fight back, and 3 delicious cheeses can be part of your arsenal. Number 1, cottage cheese. Rich in slow-release casein protein and the muscle-building amino acid leucine. Perfect before bed to fuel overnight muscle repair. Number 2, Parmesan cheese. One of the most protein-dense foods on Earth, with naturally pre-digested amino acids that are easy for aging bodies to absorb. Sprinkle it on everything. Number 3, ricotta cheese. Packed with fast-acting whey protein and antioxidant selenium. Ideal for breakfast or post-exercise meals to rapidly stimulate muscle growth. Combined with gentle resistance exercise, adequate vitamin D, and proper hydration, these 3 cheeses can help you maintain your strength, protect your bones, prevent falls, and preserve the independence you've worked your entire life to enjoy. You know, aging doesn't have to mean declining. It doesn't have to mean becoming fragile or dependent. With the right knowledge and the right choices, you can be strong, active, and vibrant well into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. And sometimes, those right choices are as simple as reaching for the right cheese at the grocery store. Your muscles have carried you through an entire lifetime. They've lifted your children, carried your groceries, held the hands of the people you love. They deserve to be nourished and cared for, and now you know exactly how to do that. If this video helped you, please hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss our weekly senior health tips. Share this video with a friend, a spouse, a parent, or a sibling who needs to hear this. You might just be giving them the information that keeps them strong and independent for years to come. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which of these 3 cheeses is your favorite? Are you already eating any of them? Or is there one you're going to try for the first time? Let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll see you in the next video.